Hi, welcome to Life Unravelled, where we unravel life's little mysteries. Today we're looking at learning to listen. Now, listening is a very important skill that we all need to be able to do, and some people do it better than others. What you'll find that isn't at school, they really need to learn to listen and be able to react to what's being told. So learning to listen from a very early age is a great skill for the kids to be able to develop. The more they practice it, the better they'll get at it. So we try and teach our kids how to listen. Now today we're going to go through learning how to listen and some little tidbits on teaching those little ones how to sit down and how to actually learn to listen, and firstly to listen to a book. So learning to listen is a pretty complex skill actually. We have to make sure that our body stays still, that our ears are ready to hear the information, that our eyes are ready to see what's on the page, and that our brain is turned on so that we can actually start to understand what's being said. So this is called whole body listening, and it's really good just to get into the habit of when you're sitting down with your little one and you're trying to get them to say stay still, for instance, just say whole body listening, sit still. Are your hands still? Are your ears turned on? Are your eyes ready to find out new information? Turn your brain on, let's go. And that way you're actually going through all the steps with them, and it really helps them to get an understanding of what they need to do to be able to listen. It also helps if you're, say, in a library and going to reading books in a library, because often they have reading time, and you can go with your child and sit and listen to someone read the book. And those sorts of places are great to practice your whole body listening. So get the kids, sit down there with them and show them, mentor them, show them how you want them to behave. That's really important, that they understand that they need to do the same sorts of things that you're doing. And they can look around and see other children. You can sort of say, oh, isn't that boy sitting nicely there? He's doing whole body listening, isn't he? And if you get that word whole body listening into their heads, then they understand what that means. And for them to understand what that means that when they go to school, they're ready to start to learn straight away, rather than running around and being distracted by everything. They know that as soon as whole body listening is said, that they need to sit quietly and they need to learn, and that's the time for learning. So again, that's a really great thing to do. Remember, it's sitting still, hands still, ears ready, eyes ready, brain on. Now, once you've got them sitting still, which could actually go for maybe 10 seconds, then what you're wanting to do then is to be able to get their attention. So if they can sit still for the first 10 seconds, then you can get their attention. Make sure that they can see you and the book really clearly. And remember, the book needs to be aimed at their level. There is no point reading to them the newspaper when they are looking to a 2-year-old, when they're looking for something that's more related to what they do in their own lives. Keep it really simple at first. If you're trying to get a 3-year-old to sit down and listen to a book, don't get a complex book. Maybe get one of the baby books and start at that baby book level and move up to crawlers and walkers and then up to runners. Because what you'll find is that once you've got their attention on those simple books and they know those books, they are then more likely to sit and listen to you. Another really good skill to be able to do is to make your voice animated. Now let's have a look at this Giraffes Can't Dance. I'll show you. This is how it's probably best not to read to your children. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully bandy and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off leaves, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Now, that's pretty boring. I've read all the words, I've said the rhyming, you could feel a little bit of the rhythm in there, but that's not really what we're looking for. What we're looking for is animation in your voice. Let's give this one a go. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully bandy and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. You're very good at standing still. You're sitting still really well at the moment. So can you see how I've changed my voice? It's gone up and down a little bit, and it has sort of a little bit more of a sing-songy sound to it. I've also picked up something I'm looking at, sitting still and listening. So I'm standing still. I've picked up that from the page. So there are two ways that if your child is really anxious about running around and wanting to get off here, don't stop and have a look at a lot of things in the page. Keep the rhythm up and going like this. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim. His knees were awfully bandy and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Do you notice with this one I've actually made it much quicker, and I'm pointing to little bits in the book that they can quickly look at, and then you just keep going over to the page. Another thing that you could do is once you've read this book a few times, to get them to sit still for longer, you can start to talk about the page. Gerald was a tall giraffe. Look how tall he is. Look, he's right up near the tops of the trees. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully bandy and his legs were rather thin. Oh, can you see what's peeking out of here? What's that? Oh, I think it's a lion. And look, there's a little bug. Oh, there's a ladybug over here on this part of the page. How many bugs can you see here? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4 bugs. Oh, you're 4, aren't you? 4 bugs. Oh, here's another one. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Can we count more bugs? We're up to, what we were up to? 4, that's right. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Are there any more? Oh, I can't see any more. 9. Can you remember 9? So see, now I've added a little bit of interest in there. So I've got them counting, and that will make them sit for longer and longer, because we're not really looking at getting our kids to sit there doing nothing. What we want them to do is sit longer and have a longer concentration for what we're actually doing in our reading. So we can go through and you can have a look at this book. It's got lots and lots of different things to look at like the big hippopotamus's teeth, and we can have a look at the giraffe is laughing. Not the giraffe, the zebra. The zebra's laughing. Oh, and so is the monkey up the top here. So when we go through, there's a lot of interest throughout this book. At the very end, it says, "Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. 'We all can dance,' he said, 'when we find music that we love.'" So this is a beautiful book. It's really, really, really lovely. So now we know how to read our books to entice our children to sit for longer and longer and get better concentration spans. But how can we actually help them to make sure that they're learning to listen? Because listening is not just sitting still. Well, one of the things is repeat the same book many, many times. Now, the kids won't let you not do this, because invariably they will continually run back for the same book again and again and again. And there's a reason behind that. It's because the children really, really want to explore more about that book than what they got in the first reading. They need to decipher the language, hear the rhythm of the language, hear the music of the words. They like to have a look at the pictures, look at the detail in the pictures, the colours that they have, and relate those colours back to the colours that they see outside, for instance. So they're actually seeing the book every time they read it, they're seeing it in a different way. Another thing that you can do is you can make up your own books. And if you make your own books, the children have a vested interest in it and they want to read it again and again. So they'll sit down and look at the book for longer. For instance, my daughter made up this book when she was 6. Now, she made the story up herself. She drew the pictures. At the time, all I had available was a computer and a printer, so I just printed these words up for her. And then she was able to draw the pictures. And the most wonderful part of this was I was able to make books for all of her all the grandparents. So they all got a copy of her book. Now she did a brilliant job, I think. She made all her pictures herself. And she even added writing in there as well. Now the best part about this was that she loved this book and she used to read it all the time, again and again and again. Another book that we did was Trowbridge Island. We went to a beautiful island and we had a holiday there. And so this was done through Snapfish. And we were able to take all of our pictures, and you can see that we can put writing and pictures all on there, and we made this fantastic book. Now we've made quite a few books like this of our holidays. Now they're a soft cover, so they're easy to take around. Kids love to take them to school. They love looking at them. Now this one doesn't have very many words in it, just very, very simple text. But what's really lovely about it is that it's a memory that the children can have. It's a memory that we all have, and the kids learn to read and learn to enjoy the books and sit and listen to the stories again and again and again. One of the hardest things that I find is when we're reading a book and the kids want to interrupt you all the time, or they want to run off and do something, is to actually keep you cool. You need to just understand that it's a process that they're going through. It's going to take them a bit longer, some of them a bit longer than what you would even think, to actually get there. But the more consistent you are with the words that you use with them, like when we were talking about whole body listening, the more consistent you are with that, and the more that you actually get them to sit and do what you're asking them to do, and praise them for that time that they're actually doing the correct thing, that's the thing that makes a really big difference. Now you may have to do that for 6 months before you see them starting to turn, but it may take 6 months, but it makes such a difference to their whole life. Think about it. Do you want your child to be able to sit and concentrate at school? Well, then it's going to take a little bit of time when they're 2 and 3 years old to get them to learn those listening skills. So it's well worth it. You're actually setting them up for their future. As they say, success builds success. And the more times that you offer these books, the more likely those children are to actually come and learn and listen and sitting and concentrating, really. If you think about it, have you ever heard a song for the very first time on the radio and you thought, oh yeah, maybe I like it, maybe I don't really have an opinion. And then it gets played hundreds of times. Every time you're in the car, you hear this song. And all of a sudden, you're starting to sing along to it and bop along to it. And then by the time maybe a week has gone past, you're singing away to the song and it becomes one of your favourite songs. Well, that's what happens with books, with kids. The more times that they read them, the more repetition that happens, the more that they really love these books, because it's familiar, it's comfortable, they know what's going to happen, and they just enjoy the thrill of the story. So remember to keep a rhythm in your voice, use pauses and volume to increase their attention to the storyline, point out interesting parts of the books, keep your momentum up, and most importantly, this is time that you spend uninterrupted with your child. So don't answer your phone, turn it off, put it in a different room. It often only takes 8 or 9 minutes to read 3 stories to your kid, and you can spend that time totally devoted to them. Thanks for listening. I really enjoyed today. I hope you did too. There's more to go. We're going to talk about nursery rhymes. So I'll see you next time. Bye.